Welcome to Prime 9, the countdown show that covers the very best in baseball, guaranteed to start arguments and not end them. This week, we spotlight the top 9 characters in the history of the game. Why 9? Well, that's baseball. 9 players, 9 innings. Prime 9.
What'd you play for, guys?
We'd tell you about our ground rules for this episode, but we doubt that any of our guys would listen. For there's no sport with more characters than baseball.
There you see Fidrix, psyching himself up, talking to the ball.
What do you think I should do? Take him out or leave him in? All right, I'm gonna take him in.
Yeah. Our candidates did have to wear the uniform, which knocked out colorful and game-changing owners like Charlie Finley, Bill Veeck, and that boss man in New York.
In the 75th year, I think baseball's back at the top of the rostrum where it belongs.
Managers qualified. In fact, some are ticked off that they didn't make the list.
Yeah!
As for closers, a position known for craziness, well, you'll have to see if any made the final cut.
He's a wild and crazy guy.
There you go.
And that's what makes Prime 9 so much fun. It's easy to get wrapped up in, because everyone has their own opinion, and we've got ours.
You are lying. You're a big liar. You are a liar, Earl.
So here are the top 9 characters of all time, starting with number 9 on Prime 9.
Heads up, Timlin! Somebody's been around for 18 years. You don't fall for those tricks.
Look at the obliques. Look at obliques. Just give me a little bit. Just give me a little one. Long distance.
Kevin's a nut. He's so off the wall, and everyone kind of gets into that with him.
Big cat, you know, whatever he was, first rounder in Dominican somewhere.
Kevin's the type of guy that, you know, he's a good big league player. He's not great.
Then you got me. Who am I? What am I even doing out here?
He feels just blessed to be a big leaguer, and he's going to enjoy every second of it.
Seriously, can't throw, can't run, can't field.
We all have these wonderful intangibles. The one thing that I could bring is I love the game.
I'm out here talking to myself. I have no friends.
I enjoy coming to the field every day.
What'd you play for, guys?
I think sometimes we forget as players that it's a game, and no matter what, I'm going to have fun.
When the Red Sox needed a rallying cry in 2003, Kevin rode to the rescue.
Cowboy up.
Cowboy up means, you know, we're a bunch of tough guys, you know? I mean, guys, cowboys that fall off the horse and get back on.
You got 2 days. 2 days to get facial hair.
1 year later, Millar became a leader of the idiots, a bunch of guys too loose to care that they were out of it, down 3 games to none.
You cannot count the Sox out, because if there's a group of idiots that can do it, it's us. This is the way we like it. Down and out, and then BAM! Sox Nation take over.
Kevin has always marched to the beat of his own drum.
You staring at me the whole time? That felt really weird.
Something magic happens.
You've heard all the stories, and you think to yourself, no way, it's real.
Magic happens.
Magic of Orioles baseball.
I don't get it. I've never seen a fatter guy with more energy.
Orioles.
If you're around Kevin Millar, you're probably laughing. He's one of baseball's great characters.
Kevin can make your head spin. Our next character was just plain dizzy.
You got to feel it with me.
In 1930, J. Hannah Dizzy Dean left the fields of Arkansas and arrived in St. Louis, armed with a dynamic fastball and an explosive personality. And his timing could not have been better.
Dizzy Dean was there to replace the loquacious, press-friendly Babe Ruth.
Dizzy Dean, they tell me that you're dizzy, but if I could throw a ball like you, I'd like to be as dizzy as you are.
Dizzy Dean then became the biggest name in baseball and one of its biggest drawing cards.
He was also one of the best pitchers in the 30s, and he had a not-so-subtle way of letting you know it.
Dizzy said, "It ain't bragging if you can do it." And he often boasted, and he usually made good on what he boasted.
Well, Paul, we ought to win 45 ball games this year. I think we will, Diz. If you win 35, I'll take care of the rest. Nice going, boy.
Dizzy won 30 games in 34 and led the Gas House Gang to the World Series. There, Diz further enhanced his legend with a heads-up play.
were looking around for a pinch runner, and Diz just run right off the bench, and he went to first base.
I said, Fish must be crazy. His star pitcher running with all those guys sitting on the bench.
Well, the next hitter up hit a ball to Charlie Ganger, the double play ball.
And he cracks one, hop down to Geringer, takes it toss to Rogel.
All I know is Rogel hit him right there. When you should go down, Diz went up.
I didn't know I hit him. I never saw it.
Dizzy Dean, who'd gone in to run going into second, is lying now motionless.
I still get letters. People think I hit him on purpose. And to tell you the truth, I never saw him when I hit him.
Rogel took the toss from Geringer. Then turned into a double play, threw hard to first. It hit Dizzy Dean on the head.
They carried me to the hospital, you know, took x-rays of my head and kept me in the hospital overnight. And the big headlines come over the next morning. X-rays of Dean's head shows nothing. It's
Welcome back to Prime 9, featuring the greatest characters in the history of the game. You've met the 9th and 8th best. We now continue with number 7.
And now, Shallow Thoughts with Larry Anderson.
If he's a good fastball hitter, should I throw him a bad fastball?
As Larry Anderson traveled through the major leagues, pitching for 6 different teams in the course of 17 seasons, his pitching feats were often overshadowed by his reputation as one of the greatest pranksters and cut-ups the game has ever seen.
If I didn't have some of the antics, I'd have been a basket case by the time the 6th, 7th inning came around, and I was already teetering on that line.
For my 40th birthday last Thursday, I was sent this Instant Hair Plus.
I was looking for somebody that looked like they might be a good hairstylist, and of course I went right to Mitch.
Just because you're known as a wild thing, try and keep the control down to this area. You see anything growing yet?
Oh, it's a huge difference. Take it down. Check out the...
It's the first time I think I went out in the field without a hat on.
We fixed it, John. No more bald spot.
Larry's best pitch was a breaking ball, and he continued to throw curves to his teammates when he became player coach for the Reading Phillies. There he conspired with MLB Productions to convince pitcher Wayne Gomes that he'd been traded to Japan. Somehow, he kept a straight face.
Things happen in baseball. And spilled something.
Called his mom. He says, "Mom, I just got traded to the Yamasuchi Sachitsusis or something."
And you just got had.
It was a way to bring a little levity into the game and just make it a little more enjoyable.
You were messing with me.
I won't mess with you no more.
None of our characters swings the bat quite like this guy.
Fly ball way back, and this one is a home run from Manny Ramirez.
Wow, how you hit that ball? I just got it.
In all 3 big league cities that Manny has called home, he's taken his explosive bat with him. Man, is it explosive.
Manny Ramirez!
And wherever Manny's gone, his happy-go-lucky attitude has followed.
That's my cool guy. I just want to go and have fun.
It's a carefree approach that dates back to the days when Manning first put on a uniform.
I've known him ever since he was like 17 or 18 years old. I had him in AAA in Charlotte.
He didn't know where the ball was. He went up and stabs at that.
I always talk about playing the game tension-free. Well, Manny's tension-free in life.
We took it to another level.
I work for him, baby.
Yeah.
By the time Manny signed with Boston in 2001, he had earned a reputation as one of the game's more colorful characters.
All Manny Ramirez can do is laugh about it.
With each new adventure, it became clear that this was who he was. That became his catchphrase.
Just in case you were wondering, he is Manny being Manny.
Manny is hilarious. Probably one of the funnier guys you'll ever meet.
We always keep it relaxed. We always joking around, having fun. And, hey, we keep everybody loose in the dugout.
Yeah. He's always doing off-the-wall stuff.
The left fielder's diving on a relay. I've never seen that in my life.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Manny goes and pulls something else out of his hat.
Caught by Manny
He feeds off the relationship between him and the fans.
High fives the fan in the stands.
He's like a little kid playing a kid's game.
My favorite Manny being Manny moment is when he went into the Green Monster during the game.
Where'd Manny Ramirez go? Hey, Manny, if you're listening out there, come on back.
Oh, my goodness. Come on, Manny. Here we go. Hey, here we go.
I thought that was the funniest moment ever.
We now return to Prime 9, featuring the greatest characters the game has ever seen. Our first 4 selections all had their own distinctive character traits, but at least they were all earthbound, which brings us to number 5. For 10 seasons, Bill Lee was a left-handed fixture on the Red Sox pitching staff.
Bill Lee, to me, was a great competitor on the field. When he crossed those white lines, there was nobody that wanted to win more than Bill Lee. He knew how to pitch.
He was a very smart pitcher, located his ball very, very well. He was one of the best lefties the Red Sox ever had.
But like most southpaws, Lee was a bit left of center. And much like his eephus pitch often seemed to have its own orbit.
No argument there.
His teammates sometimes thought he was from another planet.
Bill Lee, off the field, was different. That's being nice.
If you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat your mistakes. So if you change history a little bit, you can change your destiny.
With quotes like this, is it any wonder why Lee's nickname was Spaceman?
It's a NASA suit, the same as ones that they wore on the moon, where they tell me, but I don't really think we were there.
Well, the Spaceman was quite a character. As you know, he was outgoing and he ruffled a few feathers.
Bill Lee is now going over to a couple of the Yankees, and there they go again.
He liked to be a little different than everybody else. That's what kind of made him a little unique.
And almost 25 years since he retired, the fire still burns.
Bill today, 62 years old, still plays baseball and loves to play baseball. He's a kid.
The game plan for me is to take as much Advil as my liver and stomach can tolerate and go out and pitch a complete game and hit 2 home runs.
Not much has changed for Lee. Big arm on the mound, a bigger character. Often.
Way to go, boys. Way to go. Way to go. I'm an old guy. Great job. See you in 43 years.
It's good to know this spaceman remains grounded in the game.
Mark Fidrich. He was something to watch.
There you see Fidrix, psyching himself up, talking to the ball. Do your thing, ball.
If he gave up a base hit, he'd throw that ball out because it was a bad ball. Everybody kind of said, who is this guy talking to a baseball?
That guy burst on the scene in 1976 with an infectious personality, lots of curly hair, and a magical summer that made him Rookie of the Year.
You're throwing better than I do.
I had heard about him because some of the people had seen him on television, and they were talking about what he was doing out on the mound, you know, talking to the ball and putting dirt here and putting dirt there.
That's starting pitcher Mark Fidrich, who pats the mound. He manicures the mound before each inning.
I've seen pitchers yell at hitters. I've seen hitters yell back at pitchers. But I never saw a pitcher out there just talking to the ball and trying to tell it where he wanted it to go and what he wanted it to do.
He went through all of his little antics and this and that, getting on his knees and filling up the pitching hole and so forth. But this guy could pitch.
And the fans are standing for Fidrich. He's got it.
The attention that he got, I think, was great. It was great for the game at the time. All I remember, everything down, sinker down, slider down. I'm talking paint. He never threw anything past the knees.
But like a shooting star, Mark burned brightly for just a short time. And after 4 injury-plagued seasons, he was gone.
That really one good year he had, people came from all over to watch the Bird pitch.
Very unique guy. You'll never see somebody like that again. You won't.
The Bird's career was brief, but our next character has kept him laughing for nearly 60 years.
What do you think I should do? Take him out or leave him in? All right, I'm going to take him in.
You know, Tommy Lasorda is an incredible guy in the sense that there are about 2 or 3 or 4 Tommy Lasordas. There's a funny Tommy Lasorda.
He said Tom Lasorda is the finest manager he's ever played.
There's a guy that can be rather crude.
That's a damn crime, Marty.
And there's also the Tommy Lasorda that can just send tears down your face.
No! Nobody thought we could beat the team who won 104 games. No! We believe this.
And while Tommy was never at a loss for words, he always managed to remain on point.
A person walked up to me, and a writer, and he said, Tommy, if you could pick anybody, if you could start a major league club and you could have the pick of anybody anywhere in the big leagues to start the team, who would you take? And I, without any hesitation, I said Eric Davis. I didn't even hesitate. I said Darryl Strawberry, Mike Socia, Gibson, Steve Garvey. When I say mentally, I want them from day one to believe you're going to be a number one. If you work like a number one team, then they'll play like a number one team. And if you play like a number one team, then that's exactly where they'll finish.
Everybody knows, just happy-go-lucky. He wants to be in a limelight type guy. That's just the way he is.
Shattered bat, and it catches Tommy Lasorda.
Loves the Dodgers. And will do everything to promote it, and I think he's been great for the game.
He's an ambassador, true blue.
Say, I bleed Dodger blue. When I pass on, I want this on my tombstone. Dodger Stadium was his address, but every ballpark was his home. Have a good day. Come on. All have a good day.
We now return to Prime 9, starring the greatest characters in the history of the game. Some got by on being dizzy, some were deep thinkers, and some made the list just by being themselves. Much like baseball records, these memorable characters stand the test of time, which brings us to our final two. Yogi Berra was a Hall of Fame catcher, the anchor of 10 World Series titles with the New York Yankees.
And the Yankees are champions. And look at Berra.
He also managed both the Yankees and the New York Mets to pennants. But for most people, the legend that is Yogi Berra can be traced to his words.
He could just say some things at the spur of the moment that you just kind of look at each other and go, what did he say?
I guess the first thing I should do is thank everybody who made this day necessary.
They are affectionately called Yogiisms, and although they've become a part of our lexicon, Yogi takes no credit.
You know, a lot of people say Yogiism. I don't even know I say it myself. They just come out.
They came out often enough to fill a book, literally. And as the years have gone by, they've been quoted by people in all walks of life. And naturally, everyone has their favorite.
There was an Italian restaurant down the street. Mick said, that's a good place to eat. Yogi says, no. Nobody goes there anymore. They're too crowded.
It's not over till it's over. And I always get a kick out of that.
The best one I heard is Deja Vu all over again. I mean, how do you top that one?
I can't think and hit at the same time. That one, that's really my favorite.
But I ain't in a slump. I'm just not hitting.
Yogi says when you go to the plate, leave your brain on the bench.
Head-scratching statements are Yogi's signature. And looking back, we can only wonder what it would have been like to have Yogi wired for sound every step of the way.
Would you object to Mr. Trio being in our bullpen?
I don't care. As long as the fight starts, he stays there.
Okay, he's too fucking little.
Well, as Yogi would say, it's getting late early, so we best get on to number one.
For the greatest actor in the 100 years of baseball, Casey Stengel.
When it comes to being both successful and colorful, no one in baseball comes close to Casey. The old professor managed the Yankees to a record 5 straight World Series titles and 10 pennants in 12 years. And he did so using his own special language, Stengalese.
I didn't pay any attention when I got to Stengalese. I couldn't understand it. I mean, I don't know what he was talking about half the time.
They have a number of relief pitchers, and relief pitching can bother anybody.
Many people did view Casey as a clown, and but he was brilliant.
During baseball's antitrust hearings in 1958, Casey even managed to confound the United States Senate.
How many players do the Yankees control, Mr. Stengel?
Well, I'll tell you, I hire the players, and if they make good with me, I keep them without any criticism from my ownership.
He was a shrewd man. Always knew what he was talking about and always knew what he was not talking about.
I'm not sure that I made my question clear.
Yes. Well, that's all right. I'm not sure I'm going to answer yours perfectly either.
When the Mets debuted in 1962, Casey was their first manager, and he quickly became the face of the franchise.
As soon as the kid could talk, he started to say Metsy. Metsy, not Papa, not Mama, Metsy.
He would kind of riff. It was almost like talking jazz.
If you want to play baseball every day, you have to have a baseball in your hand, you have to have a bat in your hand, you have to be at the baseball park on time.
The meaning would come to you if you be willing to flow with it.
Our players, look into the stand and have a graceful walk when they go up to the plate.
If you were waiting for the one sentence that resembled conventional English, you'd never get it, and you'd say, this isn't music at all, but you'd be wrong.
I want to thank you for giving me this great send-off and the honor of being what I was, but I want to thank every one of the ball players. They did the job.
And thank you, Casey, for being our #1 character in the game. One thing before we go. Although Stengel is best known for his animated ways, he was a shrewd baseball man who knew what it took to win.
They're splendid boys, and they must have played awful hard for me because they win the pennant.
He once said something to the effect of, I never go into a big game without my man. Who was his man? The #2 guy on our list, Hall of Fame catcher, Yogi Berra.
And the Yankees are champions, and look at Berra, piggyback riding Bob Cazala.
And by the way, we didn't forget Phil Rizzuto as an all-time character in the game. We're just saving Scooter for the Prime 9 show about broadcasters.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to New York Yankee Baseball. I'm Bill White. Wait a minute.
Hey, thanks for watching. That's our Prime 9. What's yours?